All right then. Who's running this? Cheryl.
It's me.
All right.
So Michelle, I'm like,
Michelle or Michelle?
what?
Whichever one.
Today, there's too many Michelles in the office. She always says that about Jones.
Lions, yeah.
Ryan's.
So we can read the notice of public hearing and. Start.
I don't have it. I don't have one.
Sure.
Notice of public hearing. Oh, it's. Misspoke.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
So notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Bonneville County Board of Commissioners in the Bonneville County Courthouse, 605 North Capitol Avenue, Idaho Falls, Idaho. Date of the hearing is Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. Time of hearing is 1:30 p.m. The rezone request is from Luke Bloxham on behalf of Hector Oronias to rezone for general commercial to agricultural zone, C2 to A1. The location is located on the north side of 49th North, east of 15th East, west of 25th North Pit Road, and southeast of US Highway 20. So say somewhere it was posted.
That looks very odd. Next page.
Push to the next page. Yeah.
Okay, this was published Tuesday, May 27th, 2025.
Okay.
Okay, this is Michelle Hagan with Bonneville County Planning and Zoning. So as you read, this is an application by Luke Bloxham on behalf of Hector Oronias for a rezone from C2 to A1. The hearing packet was submitted to you previously that had the minutes as well as the finding of fact from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So you take that part of the record.
Yes, as requested, all the notes and records from the Planning and Zoning Hearing Commission, including the packet, will be included in the records for this hearing.
So the parcel is 2.25 acres located on north side of 49th North. The land use designation is commercial. And the adjacent land use designations are commercial and industrial, as you can see on the map. Then we have the adjacent zoning districts are industrial and manufacturing 1, general commercial and A1, so also the agriculture. The area consists of developed industrial use, active agriculture use, and a confined animal feed operation. We have existing residential dwellings as well as undeveloped commercially zoned property for developed commercial businesses. The area, this is the area that Idaho Transportation Department is still in the planning stages for doing a major connector between US 20 and 26. No decisions have been made to my knowledge at this time. The comprehensive plan has the compatibility decisions that need to be considered in all map amendments. Planning staff had made an unbinding recommendation to deny the request for the rezone of the property from A1. As the current C2 zone complies with the commercial land use designation. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on March 26, 2025. And they did recommend approval of the rezone request from C2 to A1 with the condition that the property be subject to the filing of the subdivision plat. The finding of fact from the P&Z was provided for your information in the hearing packet along with those minutes. I went through our past rezone history that we've had in the in the county, and there's been less than 10 that I found where we had the down zones that happened. In 2018 was the most recent one, and that was the Ackerman's-Rezone, which was essentially the barn on First business, and that down zone did require platting, a subdivision plat to be filed. Then we had a couple in 2001, and they were on the west side of the river. There's several areas over there that are zoned industrial, and they were rezoned to an A1. There are some that they did require a plat, and then the older ones, there was one in 1986 and 1988, platting in 1994. Those down zones from the industrial to an ag zone did not require a subdivision plat at that time. Just so you have that information for the record, I do have those findings if you would like them also for the record. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
Sorry,
She's writing, so.
Okay.
Then there's a question coming. Yeah.
I don't, it makes sense when it's surrounded by the agricultural area.
I guess my question is, the staff recommended against the rezoning. But then during the hearing, it sounds like maybe there's some backtracking on that. Did somebody want to address that?
So the comprehensive plan does allow for looking at what's on the ground. And so the Planning and Zoning Commission with public testimony and the applicant's presentation, they looked at that there were 3 homes near the existing parcel, and they determined that because that and there's no immediate utilities adjacent, that it made sense to recommend approval for the reason.
And I can probably give you a little more on that, Michelle. This is Austin with Montego County Planning and Zoning. So originally, when Michelle and I had looked at the application, we talked about it being commercial land use, and we didn't know whether or not that should go back to ag. I met with Luke prior to that, and we discussed more of what was actually already surrounding the existing area and looking through the comprehensive plan requirements in the commercial area and whether it fit with those or not to even be changed to commercial in the first place. And so I think the original staff report came from that conversation. And then as we looked at it more, we felt like it wasn't necessary to recommend denial because of the existing area.
But this is still in the area where road may be coming through a major arterial.
That is correct.
And I guess my frustration is that, we don't have any control of letting potential purchases of these homes or these tracts know that they're essentially buying in the middle of a future road. It's kind of buyer beware.
It is, and we did inform the property owner. They had reached out doing some due diligence, and they were told that there were conditions from the original rezone that needed to be complied with. Or to develop as commercial.
And then it's
So,
up to
and
them to,
it was mentioned in the letter.
and then it's up to them to determine whether or not it's feasible for them to.
Yes. It's one of those areas that you have some heavy industrial uses, because you have the HK gravel mining operation just on the other side of the, mound, and then you have the CAFO on the south side, and so there's, and then
Those are
you have
visible, though. People can see
adjacent
that.
houses right next to it. So
Is this just east of the school, the
Yes, it's, there's a house in between both.
And then the only other thing, again, this is Austin, I was gonna weigh on the subdivision plat. Is just keep in mind, if plating stays as a requirement, the subdivision ordinance specifically states. That no platted lot can have direct access from an arterial roadway, which 49th North is. Which means then the developer has to build in a short stub road into the subdivision. Which would be dedicated to the public and maintained, would be something that the county has to maintain, so as part of your decision. You'll just wanna think about whether that's something that the county wants to take on or not, or if you think it would be better that it could be developed without a plat and just have a driveway access.
And that was supposed to clarify that.
Yeah,
It was to
that
give
was
you
not
something to
correct.
think about.
As part of that requirement, that is what would be triggered. You would have, the ag zoned parcel with the new home right next to it was required to have a plat, and they do have a short stub road right there. So that is one of those,
So to deviate
Things
from
with
that
that.
would be, why did they not have to, and why did we have to? You know,
just providing history, so you have the informed decisions, which is why.
And if there are
Past reasons.
driveway entrances, they're not supposed to be there from an arterial road.
If it's a platted subdivision, yes. So once you have a platted subdivision, you can't have a direct driveway access to an arterial roadway.
So instead of one access, you will have 4 or 6 or however many houses.
No,
So we'll give you time to talk when you come up as the applicant, but that would be something to consider, is if this is gonna be limited to one home, which they only have one division right if they go back to ag, so it is by default. Do you require them to build a road for one home?
Makes sense.
Okay, so I thought this was going to have 3 or 4 houses or something.
No, it's a down zone back to ag to utilize the existing division right that was left on the parcel.
Okay. Okay.
There's no more questions, John, you probably have
Okay.
the applicant come up.
Yeah, if you would please.
awesome.
Decide if I wanted to let you talk first, and then the last question, you probably answer.
Am I good just to sit down and
When you
talk
open
right
your
here?
mouth, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, my name's Luke Bloxham. My address is 704 East 1375 North Michelle. And I represent Hector Oronias, who's the owner of the lot. Yes, as stated, our intention with the request to change the zone from a C2 to a A1 is to utilize the remaining division right lot. They would like to build a residential single-family house. We looked at all the surrounding areas, and with the current requirements that are on the lot as a C2 lot, it really is unfeasible for them to extract any type of real use out of the property. I think it's important to note that was changed probably a decade ago or more ago. It's sat vacant since then. It's been like a vacant lot for like the last 30 years. In our last meeting, even the neighbors came in and they said that, hey, they'd probably rather see it go to a residential use than a commercial use. One of the big factors in why I think it's infeasible is that, to our best knowledge, the sewer line that would, that we would be required to hook onto or bring to the vicinity is located further than a mile away from this property. And this is a 2.25 acre piece that we're talking about, so not very large. In my development experience too, I mean, you're knocking on $1 million or more to bring a sewer line that far, and that's without any lift stations or knowing even what would be required there, right? So I'm not sure what happened 10 years ago or why the previous owner decided to change it to a C2 zone. I understand that makes sense from a planner standpoint, a comprehensive plan standpoint, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons why the staff originally recommended it for denial, is we recognize it's in direct opposition to the comp plan. But that being said, when you go out and physically take a look at where it's at, there's residential on 3 sides of it. it's sandwiched between two single family homes right now. I think it's also important to note that when we talk about development. It's not development in the stance that there's gonna be multiple residences there. It's a 2.25 acre piece with one division, right? So I know you guys probably get this a lot with people's intentions and whatnot, and that changes down the road, but. They would be bound to only being able to do a single family residence. That's all they could do in that instance. And then that is their true intent. So why we're asking for the zone change is just really to accommodate that. We feel that it's in the best use of the surrounding area. And it goes best with what's currently there. And then, Michelle, Commissioner Michelle, to kind of answer your question about the, you know, there is some plans in the area for improving those roads, right? And then, you know, as a real estate agent, we do have a fiduciary duty to disclose to people adverse defects about the property and stuff like that when it's been, you know, when they've been notified and when it's public information. And to my understanding right now, like that's, you know, they don't have an official decision made, you know. And so that's kind of a gray area. We get into a lot of stuff like that. Hey, you know, what if, you know, we know it's coming, who knows when? And anyway, at the end of the day, I feel like for the next foreseeable future, that's probably the best use for that piece of ground. Is a single family residence and downgrade it to A1. So. And I'm happy to answer any other questions too that you guys might have about the property. I think. And going back to the subdivision requirement, so again, not sure. Not sure how to look at that, I guess, what type of formality that is. It's not gonna be a subdivision, so I don't know why a subdivision plat would be required. It's a meets and bounds description currently, which. To my knowledge, I don't know why we couldn't build a single family residence on a meets and bounds description. It happens all the time. So I don't know why a subdivision plat would be an additional requirement, because it won't be subdivided, it's just gonna remain the 2.25 acre piece. So with one approved entrance, you know, we still have to go through a site plan approval with the county with building. Right? So there'd have to be an approved approach or driveway onto an arterial road, so. You know, I think all that could be addressed then. So.
So just to simplify things some. This 2.5 acre, 2.25 acre,
Yeah,
okay. Property. Can only ever have a single dwelling put on it. And that only if we downgrade the zoning from commercial to residential.
correct.
To ag.
To ag,
yes.
to ag. Allowing that division right to use so that a house can be built there. It has for 30 years been a vacant lot because there's not a reason to put commercial in between 2 or 3 residentials. Those residentials are still ag, right?
Right.
Correct.
So I understand the rules probably require the subdivision plat.
We have for years, the standard requirement is that it go, for any rezone, it goes through the planning process. So that way the county has right of way dedicated to it rather than having to. When the road gets widened, then the county has to go in and purchase that existing right of way. At least a portion of it is already in county ownership. So that is, I believe, one of the reasons why the department's always gone through the plating requirement process for that and to reduce the number of driveways on that. We have done 1 lot subdivisions.
Without.
With. Or and some with, so it just.
Can we make it a requirement that they give us the rights of way rather than go through the plotting process?
Well, I guess I'm confused on that, because there is currently a right of way for that 49th road. I mean, it's on there.
I should say easement.
Yeah.
You could make them eat the
I'm
additional
trying
right
to
of
find the
way.
simplest way to accomplish this.
Sure.
It's ridiculous to force somebody to spend a bunch of money to do something. There's an easier.
And
way
more
to do it,
time.
And it's still just one house and one driveway.
But Michelle's right, we don't wanna have to go back and then buy this back from instead of plating. So that's why I'm trying to figure out, can we make it a requirement that they give us what we would be given in a plat without requiring the plat?
I.
You can have that, yeah, you can, one of the conditions of the downside, you can make the requirement that they have to deed the required right of way for that road.
And what would that be?
Would be 50 feet from the center line of
Yeah, we just match whatever was done on the,
Yeah, the rest.
One
of it's
next
just
to it.
going on that road.
That's probably easier than a subdivision
I'm
plat.
sorry, yeah, it's, I just think if the end result, we're expert to craters, or we could just drive to craters.
Well, my other question is, how do we make sure that there's only ever one driveway coming out of there?
you can put it as a requirement of the rezone, it's limited to one access. And I would like to note too, on the ones to the west that HK did and platted when they did that pit. Those were 10-acre division rights, and the reason they had to plat those is because they were using less than 10-acre division rights, which is a requirement. In this case, there actually still is a less than 10-acre division right that was available on the property.
if the zoning was changed.
So that gives us a little more flexibility too than what HK did to the west.
Thank you.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, but through like the site plan approval, through the, planning and zoning, when somebody goes to build a single family residence, you guys approve the approaches, right?
Yeah, Public Works will require them to get an access permit, which will limit them to one access too, but if you, something you wanna put in the rezone findings, if you decide to approve it, that can be done also.
Are there any other concerns from planning and zoning about there's nothing we can do about the potential major arterial or widening of the road that may or may not come to pass. And you may or may not be the one who was tasked with letting people know that. I mean, that's our concern is that, once you change owners a couple of times and they don't know, so I'm not casting any aspersions. I'm just saying that information exchange is often hard to make sure it happens. But if we can limit it to one access and require that right of way be deeded, are there any other concerns to meet all the requirements that would be required? I mean, for safety and everything else.
That was the last call for questions. or
Not
input.
that I can think of, no, anything you can think of, Michelle.
I don't have anything else
Thank you.
other than what's in the hearing packet. So, we did get comments from Public Works that was already there, so you probably had a chance to review those. And the health department.
Well, I will say there were a lot of packets with a lot of pages, so you might, if there's something in this one specifically that I read it.
The health department had no concerns. Public Works did not think it made sense to approve the down zone. So because of,
But if it were commercial use, it seems like there would be more traffic in it. That's what, it seems like we're reducing the potential for heavy use of that lot rather than increasing it. Which seems
Right.
to be,
And that's one point that we tried to point out in our last presentation too, that under the comprehensive plan, under commercial goals, number set, like specifically number 7, it says the locating of isolated businesses along highways which could create pressures for additional development without adequate public services is strongly discouraged. And so I think, that's a perfect example. It's sandwiched right now between 2 residential. There's not adequate services out there. And it would create more pressure. Assuming you built a commercial building, whether retail, shop space, whatever, there's gonna be more traffic flowing in and out of there than a single family residence, and that would create more pressure without the adequate services.
Do you have any other questions or comments?
I don't think so. Yeah, thank you guys for your time.
And with that, we will take it under advisement. Decision in a couple of weeks. Austin or Michelle will get with each of us individually, but collectively to discuss and answer our questions. Decision.
Typically, those are on the regular road and bridge meetings, so if it's
Wednesdays.
before the
Tuesday,
end of June, which it should be on a Wednesday, and then the 1st of July, those are switching to Tuesdays, so. We'll notify it once it's on there too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be in touch. Thank you.
thank you.